Hi there, I'm Zivi, and I'm a PhD student at the MIT Media Lab. Today, I'm going to present on interpolating GANs to scaffold autotelic creativity, which is joint work with Océane Boulais, Skylar Gordon, and Matt Groh. We live in the heyday of generative models. Today, generators are generating new fashion designs. Evolutionary algorithms can make new furniture to sit in, and GANs can even conjure spirits into being. Meanwhile, algorithms like GPT-3 are starting to write human-like text. But for every comfortable chair, spooky ghost, or enlightening haiku, there are thousands of generated artifacts that fall flat. Indeed, most of the output of these generators are rote statistical averages, rehashings of the training data. So the question remains, how do you find the superlatives among the vast possibility space of a generator? Those rare gems that surpass our expectations and teach us something new. We found one such gem on a night in August last year, playing with a generative adversarial network. By interpolating a golden retriever and a goldfish in the latent space of a GAN, we discovered a new in silico species, the golden fufa. The golden fufa made us wonder, what other GANimals are out there? There are 396 Generation 0 GANimals generated from individual animal labels. There are 78,210 Generation 1 GANimals, interpolations between two Generation 0s, like the golden fufa. And there are over 3 billion Generation 2 GANimals. So, we set out to explore this vast possibility space and find GANimals as neat as the golden fufa. We built Meet the GANimals, an online platform for the discovery and curation of AI-generated hybrid animals. From April 20th to May 20th, 2020, over 50,000 GANimals were generated, and over 10,000 GANimals were bred by over 4,300 users. Users could repeatedly generate new GANimals in the Discover page and name their favorites in the Name page. There are a couple other ways the users could interact with the system, but before we talk about that, let's talk about how GANimals are generated in the Discover page. In the Book of Imaginary Beings, Boulais wrote about his compilation of created creatures, saying that the book is not meant to be read straight through. Rather, we should like the reader to dip into these pages at random, just as one plays with the shifting patterns of a kaleidoscope. Echoing Boulais, our system leverages the idea of the random stimulus principle of lateral thinking to offer a stochastic exploration of the possibility space. Whenever a GANimal is to be generated, there are 4 possible mechanisms to trade off exploring new possibilities and exploiting existing signals. The first is recipe-based exploration, which happens 30% of the time. This feature-engineered recipe we cooked up involves randomly selecting pairs of classes from a curated list. From a careful tuning, we found this recipe generates compelling GANimals. The second is uniform exploration, which happens 30% of the time. This involves uniform random sampling 2 animal species from the 396 animal classes in ImageNet to breed. The third is stratified exploration, which also happens 30% of the time. This involves randomly sampling 2 animal species to breed, but accounting for the large number of dogs in ImageNet. The final mechanism is leaderboard exploitation, which happens 10% of the time. This involves sampling a top-rated GANimal proportional to its order in the leaderboard for subjective ratings. Users could also share the GANimals they discovered on social media, giving them a sense of pride and ownership over their discoveries and driving further traffic to the platform. The project also had serious educational and world-building components to it. There was an educational center where students could get hands-on experience with GANs, an Instagram filter that I'm using right now, and a short film that I'll play for you to give you a sense of the kind of world where we're trying to build.
in there. I've been getting a little stir crazy myself, actually. I used up my weekly oxygen quota checking in on the kelp jungle, so I have to stay inside my pod for a while. Actually, listen, that's why I'm sending this. I got so bored that I went for a dive in my family's archives, and I stumbled across my great-grandma's old survival. Anyway, I found something. Here, let me try to add it to this message. I can't believe I just stumbled upon this place. I mean, I don't think anyone's been here since before the big flood. Here, let me give you a better look. This isn't just some abandoned environment. It's teeming with life. According to my grandma's notes, they're called ganimals? Here, check them out. Ooh. Oh, very nice. Yikes. Aww. You have a certain magic to you. In fact, I think this place could use a couple more like you. Add you to the breeding pool like so. And eureka! Look at this. A baby chromatic foofle. Hey! Oh, hold on, what's that? I'm not doing that. Somebody else here? Oh, wait, no! I really like that one. Phew. I'm glad I got to in time. Oh, and other people seem to like my chromatic foofle. Whoa. Hey, a lot of people are feeding my chromatic foofle. Oh, wow, buddy. You're getting pretty big. Almost as big as ew! It looks like something I would see outside of my window. But I guess other people seem to like it. It is kind of cool, I guess, the way it lights up and all. And that one, it's like the fufa, but slimier. And that one's super...
As the video hints at, users have the opportunity to take the role of the citizen scientist or casual scientist to help answer scientific questions about ganimals. There are 3 ways a user could participate. The first is the Compare On page, where users can provide subjective ratings on the cuteness, realisticness, creepiness, compassion, and empathy of the ganimals in a 2-option forced choice setting. The second is the Morphology Quiz, where participants can annotate aspects of ganimal morphology, such as if that ganimal has a head, a nose, eyes, or lives underwater. Users can also feed the ganimals, selecting their most favorite in an online popularity contest. The most well-fed ganimals grow large and take center stage, while the least fed ones are quickly forgotten. These ratings can help us learn about how morphology and genealogy relate to the subjective and emotional traits of ganimals. For example, we found that ganimals that contain dogs are perceived as more cute than ganimals that don't, while ganimals that contain insects are perceived as less cute than ganimals that do. We also found that you can compute the evolutionary divergence time between the 2 animals that constitute a Gen 1 ganimal, and that ganimals with a longer divergence time are perceived as less realistic. We also embedded a randomized experiment within the Ganimals platform by assigning each participant to a world with its own local ecology that evolves independently from those of the other worlds. We varied the design of the Feed'em page across worlds, allowing a cross-world comparison to serve as an A/B test for how different UX/UI patterns affect emergent ecologies. In particular, we vary whether or not the display is a standard news feed or a custom circle pack, and whether or not the social information from other participants was shown. These 2 different treatments form 4 different cells of a randomized experiment, and each cell had 4 different individual worlds. We don't really talk about it in the paper, but I wanted to share some piping hot preliminary results. We find that worlds with social influence were winner take all. They had a higher concentration of success as measured by the Gini coefficient of the number of times each Ganimal was fed. We also find that social influence worlds were more unpredictable and had higher variation in success across the worlds. And finally, we found that worlds with social influence had higher morphological diversity than the ones where participants made individual decisions, suggesting that social signals lead to the evolution of diverse fads and trends. In many creative endeavors, the production and consumption of artifacts is separated, which can lead to undifferentiated production and passive consumption. We think that human-in-the-loop casual creators built on GANs are a new medium that blends production and consumption of media into a singular creative process. Leveraging computational techniques like the random stimulus approach in a bandit algorithm, we find those rare gems in the GAN latent space, like the golden fufa. And by exploring new forms of engagement and interaction, we can build a better causal understanding of how human subjectivity relates to artificial intelligence. Thanks for listening, and see you out in GAN space.